Live from the Sky News Weather Centre, this is the 10-minute briefing.
Good afternoon, thanks for your company live here on Sky News Weather. Welcome to the 10-minute briefing. I'm Emma Ralph, and this afternoon we're joined by our Chief Meteorologist, Tom Saunders.
And on the briefing this evening, a little bit of weather to start the week across Tasmania, strong winds, bit of rain in southeast Queensland, but the big story is a monster low pressure system that's forecast later this week. We're expecting widespread severe weather over southeastern Australia.
The good news is it could finally bring some relief to parts of New South Wales. We'll have more on that in just a minute. Right now, let's take a look at those radars in itself. First of all, let's start with the picture in South Australia. We do have some storms moving through with a cold front at the moment. This is what it's looking like at the moment. It's looking a little bit grey, and we are going to see some showers, but they're not looking like they will be severe at this stage.
Yeah, Adelaide's picked up 1 millimetre so far. Bit of a shelf cloud actually, that shot, but they're not severe storms at the moment. We've seen up to about 5 millimetres across Kangaroo Island. Now, this is forming along the front. We'll take a look at the radar then, which shows that precipitation moving in across St Vincent Gulf. It does look impressive on the radar, but because it's all moving fairly quickly, we're not seeing huge amounts of rain. Like it's already cleared up, for example, from Kangaroo Island. Adelaide, you've got that burst of showers moving directly over the city right now, but within the hour, it'll probably start to clear up. Now, Queensland, we've had some heavy rain through the southeast of the state over the last few hours. Emma, taking a look at the radar, notice the Sunshine Coast, those darker echoes. We've had over 30 millimetres in just 1 hour at Pomona, and also some showers just across the border around Byron Bay.
We have seen some good falls in Queensland, and those showers are set to continue tomorrow. Right now, though, we're going to cross live to Jonathan Howe from the Bureau of Meteorology.
Jonathan, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Now, we just had a look at the radar over southeast Queensland. It's raining pretty heavily right now across the Sunshine Coast. Any chance of any severe weather over the next few hours?
Yeah, good afternoon. As you mentioned, we are seeing quite a bit of storm activity and also some areas of rain around southeastern parts of Queensland, including around the Brisbane area, but particularly the Sunshine Coast, as you mentioned. Pomona has had the most rainfall, 60 millimetres there so far. And that's a result of an upper trough moving through that's really generating this area of rain and showers and thunderstorms. The good news is that we aren't expecting any severe weather out of these thunderstorms, apart from moderate to heavy falls in some places. These storms should start to ease off during the evening, and they will contract to the far southeast corner of Queensland tonight and move into New South Wales tomorrow. So we will see some more thunderstorm activity around northern parts of New South Wales into tomorrow. But at this stage, not looking to be severe. It's just mainly just areas of rain and showers as well.
All right, Jonathan, well, that is good news. Now, let's get to the big story. Now, I know that you've been looking at the charts over the last few days. You know what's happening. Now, last Friday, I was in here at Sky News Weather talking about high pressure dominating for another week. I saw that the EC model updated and it had this monster low over the southeast. Got to be honest, I told everyone in the office, ignore that, it's an outlier, that's not going to happen. Well, it is happening now. Why is this cold air mass heading towards the south of the country over the next few days?
Yeah, we're very similar here at the Bureau. We've been looking at this system for more than a week now, and as you mentioned, late last week, we looked at some of the models, so including the EC, the Australian Access model, even the US model, looking at some of these things, we thought, this is not really going to happen, but over the last few days, we've seen this model really this story start to really develop and become more consistent, so you are expecting this, as you say, monster low pressure system to move up from the really cold waters of the Southern Ocean over the coming days, particularly later in the week. And the result of this is it's a bit of a cold front. So there's a cold front coming up from the southwest later this week, associated with a polar jet stream, but there is quite a lot of upper level ridging behind that. And so we will see this cold front kind of snap off the polar front and become something what we call a cut-off low pressure system. So this cut-off low pressure system is detached from the really cold air down towards Antarctica, and it will start to spiral up and become its really vigorous system on its own. So we are going to see that really cold air moving through parts of Victoria and Tasmania. Later on Wednesday, particularly to Thursday and Friday, there is a little bit of model uncertainty at this stage. It is quite a few days out as well, but we are keeping a really close eye on this. But what we can say for sure is that it will be quite a marked change from the temperatures and some of the dry conditions we've been seeing over southeastern Australia, particularly given how dry it's been during April. But yeah, something we're watching very, very closely, this really cold Antarctic air pushing up later this week.
Now, Jonathan, we do know that it's a little bit too early to forecast exactly which areas will see severe weather with this system, but what kind of threats do you think this system will pose to the southeast?
Yeah, so this low pressure system will bring severe weather to quite a large part of southeastern Australia. So looking at Victoria, Tasmania, southeast and South Australia, and even into New South Wales as well. For the majority of people in this area, so places like Adelaide, Melbourne, Canberra and Hobart, the main impact would be the really cold temperatures. So we'll see temperatures drop in the order of kind of 10 to 15 degrees on Thursday and Friday. Just for example, in Canberra, tomorrow they're expecting a pretty nice day, 22 degrees in Canberra tomorrow, but come Friday it's going to drop to 9 degrees, so quite a big change there, and certainly very cold temperatures, even cold enough to snow, down to fairly low levels as well. In terms of severe weather at this stage, the main risk we're looking at is with heavy rainfall. We could see some very heavy falls over isolated parts of Victoria and Tasmania. At this stage, it is very dependent on where that low pressure system forms. So if it does form kind of in the Bass Strait or in the kind of western Tasman Sea, we could see some very heavy falls develop around northeastern Tasmania and also around the Gippsland district as well in Victoria. But if that low pressure system does form a little bit towards the west, we will see the heavier rainfall towards central Victoria and western Victoria as well. So it's very dependent on where that low pressure system forms. But in any case, it will bring heavy rain, which may lead to flooding. We will also see also quite strong winds as well, and even some small hail. So over the next few days, we'll be keeping a close eye on the models just to see how this plays out. But looking like some severe weather for large parts of southeastern Australia for Thursday, Friday into Saturday as well. So we'll just keep an eye on that at this stage.
Okay, Jonathan, great stuff. We will watch and wait, and we're going to get to a few maps very shortly, Emma, showing exactly what kind of weather we're expecting over the next few days. But firstly, we do have a little front today that is hitting Tasmania, and with it, well, the winds have picked up in the last few hours. We're expecting severe gales to come through between 4 p.m. and 9 p.m. with gusts in excess for southern Tasmania of 110 kilometres per hour.
Warnings are in place right across Tasmania, in fact. And then later in the week, we will, of course, see this low-pressure system forming, which is set to bring some fairly heavy rain and also some more gusty winds down to the southeast.
Yeah, all this talk, let's get to it right now. Here is the chart then. So we're expecting a front to hit the southern coastline on Wednesday night initially. That's this band of rain. Then we expect a low-pressure system to form up behind that front. There's the low there on the map, and it's that low that will drive in heavy rain through southeastern Australia. The red arrows show the risk of gale-force winds. In the mix with the rain, there will be isolated storms, there will be hail, and notice it's quite a slow-moving system, so lingering into Saturday, perhaps even Sunday, we'll have the wet and windy conditions continuing across southeastern Australia. This is how much rain we expect over the next 8 days. Now, as Jonathan from the Bureau just mentioned, the exact totals are highly dependent on the exact position of the low. You can see eastern Tasmania in excess of 100 millimetres possible, and many southern parts of Victoria can expect over 50 millimetres of rain, and that could lead to some flash flooding and river flooding. And Emma, the other big feature is we're expecting very cold air, and that means snow. This is the snow forecast. The white shading shows heavy snow.
Yeah, it's really good. Well, not quite good news just yet. It's a little bit too early in the season for that snow to stick, but we are expecting that snow down to fairly low levels, around 800 metres.
That is low, and that's not just the Alps. The alpine areas are above 1,200 metres. 800 metres means snow is possible in locations including Orange and Oberon on the New South Wales Central Ranges. For Canberra, you're looking at snow across the nearby hills, and then, of course, the higher parts of Victoria, including Western Victoria, around the Grampians. Pretty good chance of snow later this week.
Yeah, just enough to get you excited. Well, especially you, off on your snow trip later this season.
Don't tell everyone about it.
Now stay tuned, we'll take a short break, but when we come back, we'll be taking a look at your international weather news, and we'll also have a detailed forecast for tomorrow.